Hey guys, it's Brooke. Welcome back to my channel, or to my channel if you're new here. I hope you guys stay. So for today's video, I am doing the much requested Dear David update. Now there have been a lot of updates since my last video, so we are going to start all the way back from August of this summer and kind of go through all the new updates that have been happening. If you guys haven't seen my first Dear David video, make sure you guys watch that. I'll link it in the description below. You should probably watch that one before you watch this one. But yeah, we're gonna get right into this video, but really quickly before we start, make sure you guys of course subscribe and follow me on all my social media in the beginning of the video. And yeah, let's talk about Dear David. So the last update I did, I think I ended on August 18th. I think that's the last thing that I had heard about Dear David. So we are fast forwarding to August 21st where some new creepy things started happening with Dear David. Now just a quick little backstory for those of you who haven't heard about who Dear David is or seen my other Dear David video. Basically, there's a man by the name of Adam Ellis who has been updating and telling these stories on Twitter about this little boy who is haunting him called Dear David. I don't want to repeat everything that I talked about in the first video because then this video is going to be like 40 minutes long. So if you guys didn't see it, of course you can watch it and it'll be linked in the description below, and I'll try to put it on like that little card thing. I don't really know how to do that, but I'll try to figure it out. And yes, so we are gonna just talk about the new updates that Adam has been tweeting. So on August 21st, he tweeted a thread and started it with, "All the ghost stuff has been spooky, but this past weekend was the first time I actually felt unsafe in my home. On Friday night, there was supposed to be a huge storm. In the end, it passed, but that night was bizarre anyway. I fell asleep pretty early. I was incredibly tired for some reason. I had a dream that night where David was dragging me by the arm through an old abandoned warehouse. I'm not sure why I didn't fight back in the dream or how he was strong enough to pull me, but that's dream logic for you. It was a pretty creepy dream, but I didn't think much of it when I woke up. I took a shower and then I noticed something. I'd woken up with a huge bruise on my arm. Now look, maybe I injured myself the day before and my arm was hurting during the night, which manifested as a dream. There could be a totally logical explanation for it, so I brushed it off. I went to get coffee, which I do every weekend. When I walk to the coffee place, I always pass a food cart repair depot. It's always incredibly busy, especially on weekends. I've lived in the neighborhood for over 4 years and the place has always been jam-packed with carts getting serviced. But today, it was completely abandoned. The whole warehouse was totally gutted and empty. Well, almost empty. I went inside to look around because I was astonished that this place was suddenly empty after all these years. Basically, the only thing in the entire warehouse was a single green chair. If you recall, David first appeared in my green rocking chair. It could be nothing, but it's weird that it was the only thing left behind. On my way back from coffee, the warehouse had been shuttered. It remained shuttered since. The chair, my bruise, dreaming about an empty warehouse and then passing by one, it gave me the creeps. Needless to say, I didn't sleep much that night. Too many strange things are happening and more frequently. So, I don't know. Anyway, it was a strange weekend." Then, August 25th, he tweeted another thread starting with, "There have been a few small developments in my apartment, but I'm not really sure what to make of them. I don't know, I'm just scared. If you recall, my cats usually gather at the door at midnight, but lately it's been getting earlier and earlier every night. I was almost used to the routine, so when they started crying at the door closer to 10 p.m., I was confused. If you guys didn't watch my first video, they used to cry at the doors, I think at 3 a.m. I don't exactly remember. It was either 3 a.m. or 12 a.m. Either way, it's really creepy that this is getting earlier and earlier and earlier. They began a new routine, hover around the door at 10 p.m., cry for about 15 minutes, then wander off as it's nothing. But this week, something else has been happening. Shortly after the usual cat stuff, around 10:30 or so, I start getting phone calls from an unmarked number. My entire call history for the past week looks like this. You'll notice that I answered once yesterday, and basically it's just a screenshot of his phone calls, all being missed calls from a number called no caller ID, except for one which he answered. Since this has been happening for days on end, I thought it might be an automated telemarketer or something. Usually if it's an automated thing, if you answer once, they quit calling, so I picked up. I didn't say anything, I just listened, waiting for some automated message to chime in. Instead, what I heard on the other end was peculiar electric static sound, very similar to the static my sleep app picks up at night. After a minute, the static stopped and there was silence. I kept listening. I heard what I thought was breathing, but it was so faint I couldn't be sure. My heart was racing, so it was hard to hear. Then, just as I was about to hang up, I heard a very small voice whisper, "Hello." Something about the way they said hello freaked me out. It wasn't a question or a greeting, just hello. A flat statement, so quiet I could barely hear it. I panicked and hung up. I didn't know what else to do. I closed all the curtains in my apartment and turned on every single light. I watched TV until dawn because I was too scared to go to sleep. I sort of feel like I'm losing my mind. If I look at each individual incident on its own, there are perfectly logical explanations for everything. But after 3 weeks of weird things happening, I don't know how to make sense of it all. The only thing I feel I can do right now is write everything down. So that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'll keep doing. Then, August 28th, he has another thread. So I moved the green chair out of the bedroom weeks ago. It's been in various parts of the living room ever since. I should probably get rid of it, but I'm not sure that would have any effect. Also, I'm going on vacation to Japan in 3 weeks, and I keep thinking if I can make it to my trip, this will all end, as dumb as that sounds. David lost track of me once when I moved, so maybe if he believes I've left the apartment again, he'll leave me alone. Anyway, last week I bought a pet monitoring camera so I can keep an eye on the cats while I'm overseas. It's basically a nanny cam that connects to the Wi-Fi so you can check in whenever you want. It runs 24/7. It also alerts you to sound and movement via the app. In any event, I decided to test it out this weekend. I was away from home one night, so I set up the camera before I left. My phone pinged periodically through the evening, alerting me to the cats running around and playing. Normal stuff. Then, around 11, it alerted me again that it detected motion, but when I checked the feed of my apartment, I didn't see anything. So I watched the feed again, still nothing. I watched it a third time and finally noticed something. Watch the chair. And in the video, there is the green chair where it was placed in the corner of the room, and it is ever so slightly rocking back and forth. I knew it couldn't be the wind because I haven't had the windows open at all this summer. I have AC and I like to keep it chilly. It was unnerving, but there wasn't anything I could do about it right then, so I flipped my phone off and tried not to panic. About half an hour later, I got another motion alert. Here's the feed of that alert. And basically there's an object that is kind of hard to make out, but a circular object that is hung above his bookshelf, and it just falls off. If you missed it the first time, like me, look above the shelf. It's a little turtle shell that I hung on the wall. Yes, I know it's weird to own a turtle shell, but my family lives in Montana and I picked it up last year at a native trading post. Since I've been back home, I've been too nervous to turn the camera back on, and today has been pretty quiet. That said, I feel really uneasy. I put the chair in the hall. I hope nothing else happens tonight. So now on August 31st, he tweeted, "For everyone asking, yes, I am alive. I'm not home much during the week. I promise I'll keep you all updated should anything happen." Then he didn't tweet again until September 5th. It's happening again. I've been leaving the nanny cam on 24/7. It records every time there's movement or sound, as you know. I was going over the feed from this weekend and I noticed some weird stuff. During the night on Saturday, while I slept, it recorded the cats in the living room. It seemed pretty unremarkable at first. But then, after a few moments, Maxwell freaks out and jumps over something invisible. I don't think it was a bug or anything. Maxwell doesn't react like that with bugs, he just eats them. Something spooked him. What's more, I almost never get bugs. I've seen maybe 3 in all the years I've lived here. Anyway, the next night, the camera recorded a couple more strange videos. Specifically, it recorded Maxwell doing this on and off for hours. This really creeped me out. I would have freaked out if like my pets were sitting up in that weird position staring at nothing on and off for hours. He'd sit up on his hind legs and peer around the room as if looking for something or looking at something. This is odd behavior for him and I can't come up with an explanation for it, especially because of the next video. Here's the final video the camera recorded that night. So in the video he posted, his cat Maxwell is sitting on the edge of the couch and like pawing at something as if he's trying to like grab someone or something or touch someone. It's chilling. If you guys want to see the videos, I'm gonna link his Twitter in the description below and you guys can go look at all the videos for yourself, but I'm not gonna personally include the videos, I'm just including the pictures. I suppose there's a chance it was a fly, but I honestly never get flies, so that seems unlikely. I just can't shake the feeling that something has made its way into the apartment. It's an odd behavior from Maxwell. In any event, things feel off this week. I can't explain it. Then he didn't tweet again until 9/11, and he tweeted, "Every night before bed, I go through the same routine. I feed the cats, brush my teeth, and lock every single one of the 3 locks on my door because I'm paranoid. Don't ask why my door has 3 different working locks, plus what looks like the remainder of a break-in. I'd prefer not to dwell on it." Anyway, the other night I was getting ready for bed as normal. I went into the kitchen to get cat food. I hadn't even gotten to the pantry when I heard a loud crack. At first, I thought maybe it was one of the cats who'd knocked it over, but they were both in the bedroom. As you can see, I slid the lock immediately after realizing what was going on. I also checked it about 4 more times before bed. The thing that fell was this little knitted cactus in the terracotta planter. It's totally busted now. I live right next to a subway line and my whole house shifts and shakes every now and then, which could explain this. I always get in my head making excuses for whatever's happening. I'm still skeptical. But now every little sound freaks me out. I leave for Japan in 2 weeks and it can't happen soon enough. Then he updated us again on September 16th, saying, "I've been having so many nightmares lately. They're way more intense than my usual dreams too. I don't know if it's because I'm stressed or if it's something else. This afternoon I took a nap and had a dream I haven't been able to shake. In the dream, I was laying in bed rolled over to face the other direction. On the pillow next to me was a severed head with a bloody spine attached snaking down the body. The head was staring right at me, somehow still alive. It had a huge smile plastered on its face. Horrified, I screamed, 'What happened to you?' The head smiled even bigger. 'It feels great,' the head groans. After that, I woke up. It was dark outside by then. Everything was quiet. Other dreams have been just as strange. Things like dark figures staring in my windows, even though I live on the 2nd floor. Stuff that makes no sense in relation to what I've been experiencing in real life. After that dream about the head, I've been feeling uneasy all night. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I decided to go for a walk, if for no other reason than to get out of my apartment. I went to a bodega a few blocks away to get a snack. On the way, I had to pass the warehouse that was boarded up a few weeks ago. It's actually on the way to everything. I pass it twice a day just to get to the subway. I hurried past it since it freaks me out now. At the bodega, I got some Doritos and a seltzer, then made my way back home. When I passed the warehouse a second time, I heard a dull thunk from the other side of the shutters. I froze in place, but there was no other sound after that. I probably should have just continued on, but curiosity got the better of me. There was a great window next to the doors about a foot above my head, too high to see into. So I thought to myself, okay, I'm gonna hold my phone up to the window, take one photo, then run for my life. I made sure my flash was on, positioned my camera lens through one of the grates, and snapped a photo. I almost thought I saw movement when the flash went off, but I couldn't be certain. The light bounced off the grates and was pretty blinding. I couldn't even look at the photo. I just ran all the way home. I was too jumpy to look at it for a while. I just ate my Doritos nervously. When I finally did look at the photo, here's what I saw. It seemed to be a different part of the warehouse. Maybe an office? There was a bunch of old insulation and what looked like a filing cabinet and a ripped up leather desk chair. Then I noticed something in the upper right corner, something that looked like a face. The more I stared at it, the more it started to look like a nondescript blur. Now I can't even be sure what I'm seeing. Maybe I'm too deep into this and my brain wants to see David when he's not there. But here, I messed with the filters on my phone a bit. Tell me this doesn't look like him. So then he leaves for Japan on the 22nd. And doesn't tweet again until October 3rd. And he says, "It's my last full day in Japan. The past few weeks have been pretty peaceful. I have people taking care of the cats and they say they've been doing fine. This morning I went for a long walk around Sapporo. I never really plan my vacations. I like to wander a lot and see what I find. I came across this statue in a park. I couldn't find any real information on it online, but it was weird and pretty. I was taking pictures of it from different angles since it's cylindrical. I moved around to one side and almost dropped my phone at what I saw. It felt too similar to be a coincidence. I felt dizzy staring up at it. This kid with a dented head. I don't know, maybe I'm overreacting, maybe it's nothing. It doesn't feel like nothing. Anyway, I have to pack for my flight home in the morning. It'll be good to see the cats again at least." So then, 10:05, he tweets that he's home safe and that the cats have been more talkative as usual. And then on 10/14, he tweets, "Weird things have been happening with the electricity in my apartment this week. First, 2 bulbs burned out in the hallway in less than a week. At this point, I've just left it alone rather than get a ladder again. But the strangest thing has to do with my black light on my TV. It's a LED strip that plugs into the TV itself via USB. The TV has to be on in order for the black light to be on. But last night, the black light was flickering on and off by itself. I noticed it just sometime before dawn when I woke up and went into the kitchen to get some water. I'd barely gotten back to bed again when I saw a faint light come on in the living room. After a few seconds, it went dark again. I went back into the living room and stood there watching the black light go on and off for a few minutes. It was bizarre. Eventually it stopped and now the black light doesn't work at all. It's only a couple months old, so it shouldn't be dead already. Anyway, I couldn't get back to sleep, so I went to the diner near my apartment. It was the only thing open at 4 a.m. When I got back home, the sun was starting to come up, so I figured I might as well go in the shower and go to work early. I showered and brushed my teeth and then headed into the bedroom to get dressed. As I passed the front door, I thought I heard a faint scratch sound from the other side. It was so soft I wasn't sure it had really happened. I went over to the door, but I was too scared to look through the peephole. I couldn't bring myself to actually put my face that close to the sound, so I opted to take a photo through the peephole instead. Since there's a skylight just outside my door, the hall was awash in faint yellow-green light. I snapped a couple photos. At first, the pictures didn't seem like anything, just blurry nothingness. But as I analyzed it, I started noticing things. Part of a face, an ear, and an eye staring right back at me. I think maybe it's time to get someone else involved. It's obvious this isn't going to stop until I do something. I'm just not sure what that is yet. I'll let you all know when I figure it out. Then, 10/26, he tweets, "Sorry for the radio silence the past couple of weeks. First I had a friend come over to do the cleansing stuff. She did the whole apartment and the hallway. A lot of self-proclaimed professional mediums have reached out, plus about a dozen ghost hunter TV shows. I've declined them all because I don't really want strangers in my house sensationalizing what's going on. So instead, I had a friend come over and cleanse the place. For about a week or so, it seemed like it worked. Things appeared to go back to normal. The cats weren't gathering at the door. I stopped having dreams. It was starting to seem like it was over. Then, one morning last week, I was walking to work and passed the Shutter warehouse again. This time, all the metal doors were wide open, sunlight pouring in. The warehouse was still mostly empty, except for one thing. There was a hearse parked near the back wall. The warehouse has been closed for over 2 months. I have no idea why it was open that day. Nobody was around. It was weird, but I tried not to think about it. It's not at all that strange to see a parked hearse, I guess. Like, they have to be parked somewhere. I tried to put it out of my mind, and the next several days were uneventful. But something else happened last night. It was around 11 or so, and I was watching TV on the couch. I went into the dining room to get a drink from the fridge, and I noticed both cats sitting by the far window staring up at it. The window looks out onto the roof of the business next door. I glanced out the window, but I didn't see anything. I figured that maybe it was a mouse in the wall or something. I shrugged and grabbed a beer from the fridge. As I went into the kitchen to get the bottle opener, I noticed something. There's a window in the kitchen which looks out onto the same roof, and someone was standing on the roof staring at me. I immediately ducked down. I reached up and flicked off the light switch. I peered over the windowsill, but still couldn't see much. My phone was in my pocket, so I grabbed it and took a photo. It was blurry and dark, but I swear someone was out there. I tried to take a better photo, but the figure disappeared. I closed all the blinds and made sure the door was locked, and then drank like 5 more beers until I was too drunk to be scared. But now I feel like I'm back at square one. I'm sure it was him. He's not going away. I don't know what to do. And then, 5 days ago, he tweeted, "It's been about 4 months since the first time I dreamed of David. This might be long, but stick with me. Last night, I dreamed about him again. It was almost exactly the same as the first time I saw him. In the dream, I saw him in a chair again. I don't have the green chair in my room anymore. This time, it was a recliner I've had for years. He was staring right at me, just like the first time. Again, I felt paralyzed and could barely move, but this time, something was different. I still felt mostly immobile, but I could squirm just a bit. I felt more alert. I could move my hands somewhat. David glared at me, and I dreaded what I knew was coming. He was going to get out of the chair and come towards me like before. I had to do something. I kept my phone next to me on the bed, and I somehow managed to get a hold of it. I thought, if David is going to kill me, maybe I can at least get evidence on my phone. I started snapping pictures in the dark. Sure enough, he crawled down from the chair and began shuffling towards me. He moved slowly, like it was a struggle for him. I felt terrified, but I kept taking photos. David limped closer toward me, never taking his eyes off me. Soon, I was face to face with him. He started muttering something too quiet for me to understand. I watched as his eyes rolled back into his head until they were all white. I tried to writhe away from him, but I could barely move. I stared in horror as he began crawling up onto my bed, still murmuring something. And that's when I woke up. Same as before, broad daylight, no trace of David anywhere. It's almost routine now, but it was a different dream after all, so I got up and went to work, and after a while, the stress of the dream melted away. I wasn't even going to write about this since I knew it wouldn't really be new information, but tonight I noticed something that petrified me. I went into my phone to find a picture from a couple days ago and saw dozens of pitch black photos in my camera roll, all from last night. It's better just to show you. Turn up your brightness because they're pretty dark. This is the one that made my heart drop. Usually I can come up with some excuse for what's happening, but I have no logical explanation for this. So now I'm sitting here on my couch, freaking out. I certainly won't be able to sleep. I just felt like I needed to get this out. And that is the last tweet that he has tweeted about Dear David 5 days ago. So that is the newest update. I know that was a lot to take in. There was a lot of things that happened, and this is probably going to be a really, really long video. But in any case, you guys wanted to hear a Dear David update, and I'm really glad I looked into it because the updates are insane. As you can see in the 3 photos that he posted that were taken on his phone, David is in them. I don't know if you guys see it, but I 100% see it. Turn up your brightness and I'm sure you guys will see it too. It is absolutely terrifying. So yeah, that is where we are left off with Dear David today. If you guys like this video and want me to keep you guys updated on what's happening with Dear David, definitely leave a like down below. And also make sure you guys subscribe if you haven't yet. I post every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm starting to lose my voice from talking so much. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you on Wednesday.